So, this is our hand for turn 5. It's a pretty interesting hand. We don't have scoring cards, so we definitely have to worry about the chance our opponent has got some scoring cards, which would give him a lot of VB. So, we've got some pretty nice cards. Red Scare, of course, I drew it back through Salt Negotiations because I wanted to make his turn even harder. So, the plan before finishing the last turn was to instantly headline Red Scare. However, we've got the Voice of America. So this would be an interesting one because I can do a lot of nasty things. Middle East scoring is still in the deck, as is OPEC. So if I use it to remove 2 influence from here and 2 influence from here, Libya and Egypt, Middle East is actually in our favor. We are dominating it because of Israel. Of course, he will claim back Iraq, but then I can go to Iran. So we might be able to strike back in the Middle East because of the Voice of America that we drew. It's a pretty manageable hand. There is not a whole lot of problematic cards. Cambridge 5 is useless because I'm not holding scoring cards. And South African unrest is problem, but I can throw it into space, and that's even better because otherwise if he was holding it he could strike back in South Africa. So we at least have secured a presence in Africa. Okay, what else there is to say? I think it's a bit early for Truman. Maybe in late war I can use it to claim some European country. And possibly I could keep Ask Not What Your Country Can Do For You in my hand, because it allows me to discard as many problematic cards as I want. So possibly I save it for turn 6 in case I draw some really nasty scoring, like Africa scoring for example. So in this case I could discard all the problematic cards. So the plan is to hold Ask Not in our hands. And we also have to remember that he has not played Blockade yet, so he might force us to discard it as our last card. That's not bad either. So, Voice of America it is, to throw him out of Libya, Egypt and the Middle East in general. We need some advantage in this game at some point. Last thing to note is that now I am eligible for a really good realignment in Venezuela because I'm controlling Colombia and Brazil, so I have the +1 modifier, so I might attempt some realignments, who knows. Okay, so I might keep red scare pairs for the next turn, or I might play it for the operations, who knows. We have to worry about Junta and ABM treaty, but what can we do? This being said, it is time to call back our terrible Soviet opponent. So this was our meeting. It's over. We've made some pretty hard decisions, and this will be our headline after all.
Okay.
So I think it's time for this guy to listen to the Voice of America. Well, he plays Arab-Israeli war. Now let me explain you what happens. My event is resolved first because we are tied in operations value. So I will be, of course, removing these 4 influence from Libya and Egypt. So now he's playing Arab-Israeli war, and now I'm starting to sweat. No, you need a 6 because I'm controlling Lebanon and Israel itself, which gives you a -2 modifier. So instead of a 4, now you need a 6 because I'm controlling Israel and Lebanon.
You're right.
And of course it has happened a lot to me, and it would happen once more.
That was
Okay.
Very, very lucky.
Yeah, okay. I was setting, I said it. So you can replace all my influence in Israel. The Arabs have won.
This usually
Makes
what
sense.
happen.
Okay. So, and you also gain some military operation
Yeah,
points,
sorry.
which is
Two, I think.
yeah,
Two military-
yeah, it is two,
two
and you gain
VPs.
2 victory points too. Yeah, so this is the one die that I would like to not have happened this night, and this might really seal the deal for this game, but maybe let's try it a bit longer. So, action round number 1 for the Soviets. So I should also mention that this war does not affect the DEFCON because it's not a coup, it's just a war by an event, so DEFCON stays up to 3. Okay, back to the Soviets. To be honest, I'm partly happy about what happened because now I've got the best excuse if I lose the game. Like after this kind of die, nobody can
Yeah,
come back. So
I agree.
let's
I fully agree. So
let's provide some more fun to our
I'll do
viewers.
something. No, yeah, I'll do something strange. Something that
We are all strange
don't-
guys, so we don't mind. So
you wouldn't expect. I'll play this card.
Armani Tehran, oh yay!
Yeah.
We are
First,
control.
I'll,
Yeah.
I'll coup
Okay.
Lebanon.
You're cool, Lebanon. Okay. So Lebanon is definitely
So
going to go
if-
down.
If I manage to, I mean,
No, it's guaranteed. We just check how much influence you ask.
one,
So
two,
you
three.
just remove one influence
Yeah.
from Lebanon. So no, leave it. Yeah, okay. I shall place one. So we're tied. Now the effect of our money in Tehran is that if US controls one Middle East country, I'm getting to check the next cards of the deck and possibly discard some of them. But now because he took control of our last country in the Middle East after Israel, so now it goes to discard with no effect. Now I have to explain the new players really tricky rule. This card, because the US is controlling no Middle Eastern country, results in no effect, and because it results in no effect, it is not removed from the game, it goes to the discarded. No, I mean the opposite. The event text can't be fulfilled, so it goes to the discarded, but if it just resulted in no effect, it would be entirely removed from the deck, as happens with independent reds or Truman Doctrine when the preconditions are not met. Anyway, that's a little bit tricky and you will get through it with a little bit of experience, but Arman in Tehran is not out of the deck for the rest of the game, it goes to the discarded. And okay, that's 2 more military ops points, which make no sense, but I will add it to you anyway. So, action round number 1 for me. Okay, so if you are ready, I would like to do some coup by Latin American death squads. I will use it for the operations to coup Nigeria, which will give me 2 military ops. And whatever the result, I will remove this one influence, but I hope it is higher than 1, because if it is just 1, I'm not placing my own influence in Nigeria. So good luck to America. God bless. And it's a 3, which means with 1 I remove this influence because it's 2 minus the 2 defense of Nigeria. So 1 plus 2 for the US. DEFCON is back to 2, and this marker is placed to Middle East once more. Action round number 2 for the Soviets, but not before I place some influence through NORAD, our beloved NORAD friend. And yeah, the plan was to place 1 more influence in Thailand to overprotect it from a possible play of the China card. So we have secured some 2 victory points in case the Southeast Asia scoring is what we are holding. And good luck.
I'll give you the China back. And I'll pay 2 in Iran.
Yeah, okay. Time for Middle East, I guess.
1 more in Iraq. And the last one will go to Lebanon.
Okay, so for now we are entirely kicked out of the Middle East. Plus, he's controlling some petrol producing countries in the name of Iraq, Iran, and Venezuela, which might be important for OPEC purposes. Normally, the next move would be to go to Egypt, but for some inexplicable reason, I'm not controlling Israel currently, so I will have to figure out something else. And okay, this was a trade-off. I could have placed my NORAD point in Lebanon, but I opted to place it in Thailand because otherwise he would have flirted with China. To be honest, if he had Middle East scoring in hand, he would have ended the game right at the previous turn. So I'm pretty positive he's not holding the Middle East scoring. So there might be some lifeline for the Americans. So what is it that we want to do first? I think this might be the time that we take our gamble to a next level. We'll play Cuban Missile Crisis for the realignment, so it's time to provide our viewers a really fun aspect of the game, which is realigning. So, both players will be rolling a die, and the target country is Venezuela at first. At my first attempt, I have a +1 modifier in my die, so good luck. 1, 2, 3. A 4 and a 2. So I've got 2 more, plus the 1 modifier means we remove all 3 influence from Venezuela. And this was just my first attempt. Next one will possibly go to Algeria because we are tied. I will control France, which is adjacent. He has more influence in Algeria. So now it's up to the dice to do the job. It was a 3 to 5, so nothing happens. And one last chance in Algeria. It's a 2, which don't make any trick. Okay, so that was all. Cuban Missile Crisis is discarded, and it's action round number 3 for the Soviets.
I'll do my coup.
We are in turn 5.
Okay.
So for the new players again, we all know that in turn 7 it is probably the turn the deck will be reshuffled again. So there will be some cards that have not been yet dealt. It will be dealt in turn 6 and turn 7.
I'm cool with Korean War.
Okay, so Korea is safe again. Okay, so Mr. Escobar is doing a really good job, and Colombia gains 4 influence points, yes, for the Soviets. So my next port of call would most likely be shuttle diplomacy for the operations. And I will place 2 influence in our neighboring country of Venezuela. Hello, Mr. Maduro. And 1 more influence would go to... Do you remember if Formosan Resolution is still in play? I think it has been...
It's still in play.
So I have not played the China card after Formosan? Okay, thanks for the reminder. So since Formosan Resolution is in play, my last influence point will go to Taiwan to possibly take advantage of this battleground. So, action round number 4 for the Soviets.
Okay, I'll go.
Reminding to everyone, turns are starting to get really long because now it's 7 action rounds per turn, so it lasts much longer than the early war. Plus all the possible combinations that are now available, which would not be available in the early war, so you got to think of a lot of factors.
I'll go to space with Usuri.
We wish you a nice journey.
Yeah.
Usuri, I would like this to be
1 to
in my
3.
hand, but no. Usuri would give us back the China card, but alas, this was not meant to be.
4.
And you are failing
I
again.
still have big rolls.
So, yeah, it's my action round number 4. And what this would mean is we can go for some... okay, let me think about this again. There's a really nice thing that we can do, which is playing the red scare that we saved from last turn to do more realignments, because if it works once, do it twice. So this time I will try to realign Cuba, because there is a good chance I can push the Soviets out of Central America. So I've got 4 attempts. Our dice is even. Our dice are even because he controls Cuba and I control USA, which is adjacent. So whatever story the dice are gonna tell will determine the result. It's a 4 for me. And a 1 for the Soviet player, which means 3 influence down in Cuba. So the trick was done. And then we're going back to our beloved Algerians. Again, it's a tied dice. It's a tied die. So the result is, okay, don't even roll, nothing happens. I'm glad you wasted your 6 in that. Okay,
to waste my 6.
Okay, so third attempt in Algeria. And it's a 6 for me now. And it's a 6 for the Soviet player as well, so nothing happens. And the fourth one will be in Algeria once more. It's a 3, nothing serious will happen. And a 4. So just Cuba for this round, but not bad anyways. Time for action round number 5 for the Soviets.
Okay, I'll go with Portuguese as an event.
Okay, so Portuguese Empire crumbles. As an event, you said?
Yes. Sorry, as
operations.
As operations.
Okay, yeah, it would make
My
no
bad,
sense
my
to
bad.
play it as an event. So 2 operations points. Portuguese Empire scrambles, stays inside the deck.
You have the option you want. Military, I mean.
Yeah, probably no penalty will be suffered due to military ops.
So I will go to
I really wonder where you will go, to be honest.
one goes to Egypt, and the other one goes to Zimbabwe.
Okay, Zimbabwe it is. Now we have to be particularly careful because now there's the African domination. He is controlling 3 battlegrounds to our 2, plus 1 on battleground country. To be honest, it might even feel a bit desperate if you ask me, because Zimbabwe can be good, so I might even suspect that my opponent might be holding even 3 scoring cards, because there are many scoring cards still not played. So, we'll do something that might go unnoticed, but I will place 1 influence by using Truman Doctrine for the operations, and this influence will go to Saharan states. This is like making a statement, like how long will you damn Algerians will resist the US onslaught. So, action round number 6 it is.
Southeast Asia scoring.
Okay, so I guess my
You win
assumption
one,
was right.
2, 3, 4.
Well, so I've got 4 points in
Against
Southeast Asia against 3, so I gain 1 victory point total. And Southeast Asia scoring is the only one that is removed from the deck upon being played. It's a one-off, but I wouldn't mind that 1 VP anyway. So it's my turn, and to be honest, I'm almost sure he's holding the Africa scoring, although there's nothing that can really be done about it. I wonder what the next scoring would be. Probably not Middle East, as we discussed previously. It might be South America scoring. No, it's action round number 6. So we've got 2 action rounds. So I will drop South Africa and rest to the space, because that's what we do. We throw South Africa into the space, and I need a 1 to 3 to gain 1 victory point. It would be my first step, but alas, it was not meant to be. Once more, F4. So, action round number 7 for the Soviets, and the last one for this turn.
Nuclear subs.
Oh,
And
that's
I
cool.
put 1 influence to break Venezuela.
Okay, so right now what happens is I've got the ability to coup a country without dropping the DEFCON. And okay, he's claiming the Southern American domination again. And he's making a statement like, go coup me as much as you want, I've got the South American domination. Or maybe we can coup Venezuela back. But to be honest, with my last card, which is Cambridge 5, a 2 operation, I don't think I will risk Venezuela. Probably I will go for the safer choice, which is Zaire. Yeah, I will go for Zaire because my play style is don't try to defend where he's strong, try to go for where you are strong. And in this case, it would be Africa. We're trying to create the strength in Africa. And it is a 2, which means we remove this 1 and we place our 1, which is sufficient to control Zaire. And this concludes our turn 5. So, no penalty for military operations. Defcon goes up to 3. Space red card is not placed for this round. Action round 1. Turn 6. We are approaching the end of the Middle War. And China card is flipped again. So, it's turn 6. It's almost the end of the mid-war, and I've got very good news for you guys. I have drawn Middle East scoring as planned. I have kept ask not what your country can do for you. So this gives me the option to discard as many cards as we want. So we're saved for now. I will discard the Middle East scoring, and to make some more value out of it, I will also discard Che Guevara because he's a really annoying guy. I also still have to hold some card in my hand for blockade. Maybe flower power is what we want. I might even play flower power because it gives me a victory point penalty every time I play a war, but I don't know if I'm going to play many wars anyway. The thing that worries me about the most is Quagmire, because this event cancels NORAD, and it's almost guaranteed that he will draw it sooner or later, either turn 6 or 7. What I hope for is he does not have Quagmire in hand. But in case he's got it, I'll save Che Guevara to discard it through Quagmire to meet the requirements. One good headline would be 5-year plan, because if I hit a US event, it will take place, and if I hit a neutral event or Soviet event, this will go away, and more importantly, this will hurt his hand. I'm suspecting he is holding a hell lot of US cards that are annoying to him, so I may hit a real good event or make his job tougher, because he does not even have the China card. He's not holding it right now, so his options are limited. Containment is a very good event, but it's not the time to play it, because I'm not gonna play many operations. I will play the event, and I will also play Europe scoring for the victory points, so I will not headline containment this turn. So 5-year plan is our headline. We will try to play Europe scoring for the victory points. If he coups us in anywhere but South America, I will use NORAD to place my influence back in Venezuela. Otherwise, there might be other countries like Taiwan, for example. So it's time to call back this strong Soviet opponent of ours. So this might be the headline that ends the game, possibly. We all know what I mean by that. So I'm headlining this one and hope for the best. This turn belongs to Leonid Brezhnev, if you would like to know. Its turn is dedicated to some US or USSR leader. So, headline is 5-year plan, and your headline is we will bury you. Yeah, I thought this could be the case, and it's really dangerous because I might hit an event that outright ends the game. So, let me explain you what happens. First of all, Defcon status is dropped to 2. And if I don't play UN intervention in my next turn, so if the United Nations don't intervene practically, I will lose 3 victory points. We will bury you, we'll go to the removed cards after this one. And now we really need some good fortune, because I want to hit some particular cards in the Soviet hand, and if it's a US event, it will happen. If it's anything else, it will not happen, it will just be discarded.
You want to draw like this?
I'm fine, and I think you are really trying to hide this one card, so I will choose this one. And it's OPEC, yay! OPEC is out of the deck, which means 2 victory points less for the Soviets, or maybe 3 or 4 if he places influence in Egypt and Libya. So this one is out of the deck, and we're going for action round number 1. One thing that makes me sad is that now I don't get to use NORAD, because the Defcon status was dropped in the headline and not at the end of an action round, so NORAD's effect is foregone in this case.
Okay. For ops?
Okay, so he does not want to claim back the China card. He's playing 3 influence in Venezuela, which very well indicates that he's holding the South America scoring, and with this domination, he's up for 5 victory points if I'm not mistaken, so we'll have to do something about that, although I don't know what exactly this is going to be. So we might do this little trick, which is in our first action round we're going to play flower power, the power of the flowers. Yeah, so the event takes place. Please pass me the appropriate marker for flower power. So from now on, every time the US player plays a war card, he will suffer a 2 victory point penalty, but this allows me to play 4 operation points. So this means 1 in Uruguay to control it, 1 in Paraguay to control it, and 2 more in Bolivia. So now what I have achieved is that we are tied 4-4, so there is no domination, at least for now.
Ahead of that, I get 3 victory points.
Yeah, sir, because of we will bury you,
Yes.
Mr. Khrushchev. So, back to you.
Flower
Flower
okay,
power
yeah,
goes
yeah,
to the
no.
remove cards.
Decoy.
Okay, our old friend of decolonization.
One here. Another one here.
Yeah, Africa or Southeast Asia is the concept. So, Zaire, Cameroon, South Africa.
South Africa, yes. And the last one will go to.
I think this game really needs some colonial rear guards to match this situation, but let's see if that's the case. Yeah, so what my opponent has achieved now is that first of all he has denied me much of my presence in Africa, as well as now I am eligible for realignments in Nigeria and Zaire, and so things are getting tougher in Africa. There's no easy way to mitigate this, to be honest. So this might lead us giving up more victory points, or we might just tempt him to do even more realignments, because why not? Maybe he's unlucky. We have to bet on that. You know what? No. I will go for my strengths and I will play Europe scoring, which results in 6 victory points. Don't worry, I shall break it down. I am dominant right now in Europe.
Plus one
So
for Finland.
exactly. So domination minus presence equals 4, plus 1 for 3 battlegrounds to 2, plus 1 for Finland, which is adjacent. So this gives me 6 victory points from 16 to 10. And back to you.
It's round 3, right?
Yeah.
Africa scoring.
Yeah, we all expected that. I'm glad you didn't put more influence
Yeah.
points in Zaire. Yeah. So, he's dominant, of course, and he's controlling 2 battlegrounds. So this means 3 points for the difference among domination and presence, plus 1 for the extra battlegrounds. So 4 points from 10 to 14. And now it's our turn to try to fix this mess up. You know what? If I'm not mistaken, Central America has not yet been scored. So I will play my little old friend Willy Brandt, all the way from Germany, to place 2 influence points in Mexico. So what Willy Brandt does as an event is the Soviet player places 1 influence in West Germany, which is not enough to deny our control, and that's why I have overprotected West Germany. Now he also cancels the effects of NATO for West Germany, so the Soviet player in the future could possibly try to realign West Germany, which is impossible while NATO is in play. Anyway, Willy Brandt goes out of the deck, bye bye, and I am placing 2 influence in Mexico, if you would like.
Grain sales in space.
Okay, so
Grain
action round number 4 for the Soviet player. This time he is successful and he is earning 2 victory points for discarding grain sales Soviets, and this is what I was explaining to my viewers during the conference, that there are some really painful cards in the Soviet hand, and that's why I headlined the 5-year plan in order to hurt out their hand even more. So he has gotten rid of that, which we are not really happy of. So action round 4 for us. Yeah, that's about time. We use containment to place 3 influence points in our neighboring Cuba and say hello to Mr. Fidel. Action round number 5 for the Soviets. Now, in case you have not noticed, I mean our viewers, I'm controlling Central America because the 3 battlegrounds, Cuba and Panama and Mexico, are all controlled by the US player. And let's see what the Soviets have got in store for us.
Defectors.
Okay, which means 1 victory point for the
Yeah.
US player.
And I'll go for 2 points to Libya.
Yay, Middle East scoring is looming. Or most likely, this indicates to me that the Soviet player is holding Sadat. This is very likely. You know, he's only got 2 cards to play now because of 5-year planning, so probably he's forced to play Sadat because Sadat is an 1 operation value card and he cannot discard it in space. So Sadat will lose him the influence he has in Egypt, and possibly he's trying to expand to Libya in exchange before Sadat comes into effect. And now it's time to use the old trick of ask not what your country can do for you to discard the Middle East scoring. So this event goes out of the deck. It allows me to discard the Middle East scoring, and I shall draw 1 card in its stead. And now it's up to you.
So it gets that.
Okay, thanks
As
a
you
lot.
expected. I remove mine, you put 1 of yours, and I make a coup to Sahara State.
Sahara, really?
No, I put an influence point in Zaire. Why not?
Because why not is the question. So, okay, Africa might have gone away, but he's building up for the future. We're fine with that. Okay, it is about time we drop Che Guevara into space.
In space.
So, at last, maybe this is the time that we make our first small step into the space race track. I need a 1, 2, 3, and it's a 1, yay! Our first victory point from the space. We're up to 14, or rather down to 14.
And my
Victory
last
points.
card, as you already know, it's blockade.
Yeah, it's blockade, and
I have to use it for the operation points.
mhm.
And I'll go Sahara State.
Okay, so
As I
1
wanted to
military
before.
ops for Sahara.
6, 7.
Okay, so first our defense is 2, your total is 7, so we
3.
remove 1 and you add 4 more.
Okay.
Okay, and this is my last action round.
Glorious days for Sahara State.
Yay, glory to Sahara. And I will surprise the viewers and my opponent a bit. It's one little idea of mine. I will use how I learned to stop worrying for the event, which will take the DEFCON up to 5, and it will give me 5 military ops. So this goes out of the deck, and now at the end of the round he will suffer a 4 victory point penalty because of the difference from DEFCON. So 14 goes to 10, and we're ready for 10-7 after we adjust markers a bit. Military ops to 0, DEFCON to 5. An unusual time to be alive. DEFCON stays at 5. Europe is again eligible for coups and realignments. So let us now deal the cards for the end of the Middle War.